Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Good morning and a very warm welcome to everyone to yet another session of Weekend with Wisdom. Today, we have Shri Kalyan Kumarji, who is speaking on the topic, the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This is the third session of the same series. If you have not watched the previous sessions, you can go and watch ahead on our YouTube channel. And again, today in the evening, 6 o'clock, Kalyan Kumarji will be joining to share the knowledge. Viewers, if you have any question, please post them in Q&A box. Kalyanji will be towards the end of the session. Kalyan Kumarji, please start your session.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashyakritau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punaha ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्ति भेद विभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्त देहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः गुकार स्वन्धकारो वै रुकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकार निरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शान्तिः 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 ओम वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् अथ चतुर्थोऽध्यायः ज्ञानकर्मसन्न्यासयोगः श्रीभगवानुवाच इमं विवस्वते योगं प्रोक्तवानहमप्ययं विवस्वान् मनवे प्राहमनरिक्ष्वाकवे ब्रवीत् एवं परम्परा प्राप्तमिमं राजऋषयो विदुः सकाले नेह महता योगो नष्टः परन्तप स एवायं मया तेद्य योगः प्रोक्तः पुरातनः भक्तोऽसि मे सखा चेति रहस्यं ह्येतदुत्तमम् अर्जुन उवाच परं भवतो जन्म परं जन्म विवस्वतः कथमेतत् विजानीयां त्वमादौ प्रोक्तवानिति श्रीभगवान् उवाच बहूनि मे व्यतीतानि जन्मानि तव चार्जुन तान्यहं वेद सर्वाणि न त्वं वेत्थ परन्तप अजोऽपि सन् अव्ययात्मा भूतानामीश्वरोऽपि सन् प्रकृतिं स्वामितिष्ठाय सम्भवाम्यात्मं मायया यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहं परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन वीतरागभयक्रोधाः मन्मया मामुपाश्रिताः बहवो ज्ञानतपसा भूता मद्भावमागताः ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तांस्तथैव भजाम्यहं मम वर्तमानवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः गीताशास्त्रं gives us a holistic look, a method, an approach to look at things holistically. When I am performing any action, how do I look at that action in the context of the whole? This is what we mentioned when we introduced the Bhagavad Gita yesterday morning. So when we say holistic, we need to understand what is the whole. Is it different parts put together which can be called the whole? Or is there an undifferentiated whole? No, you can ask me, I don't get this. What does this mean? I will give you an example. A forest is a whole. There is one forest. You call it a forest, it is one thing, but then it consists of so many trees, so many plants, many animals, even some tribal people. All together, it's a forest. It is one whole, but with many parts. Even a tree, let us take a tree. Tree is one whole, but then there is a trunk, there are branches, there are roots, there are leaves. Collectively, it is called a tree. So it is one whole with parts to it. But let's take space. Are there parts? It's only dimensionality which is called space. It is in a sense an undifferentiated whole. So what is this whole, all encompassing? When we say there is whole, all encompassing, everything put together, is it like the forest or is it like the space? I can understand something like a forest. When I say whole, the earth, all the planets, all the stars, all galaxies, whatever is conceivable, you put it all together, we can call it the whole. But is that the whole when we talk about a Brahman or Ishvara? That is where the Vedantic vision is, that it is an undifferentiated whole. In fact, the term whole doesn't make a sense or meaning from the standpoint of Brahman or the ultimate reality, because there are no parts. There is nothing other than it. And it is Ekarasam, undifferentiated. And all the differentiations that you see as the Jagat are superimposed. Maya Karyam. It is as though seen. Because once you make an analysis of what exists in front of you, it seems to resolve into something else. When I said tree, what is a tree? Is the trunk the tree? Are the branches the tree? Are the leaves tree? So the tree doesn't exist without what makes up the tree. Now go to a trunk or a branch, ask the same question, what is a branch? Is a timber the branch? Or whatever the green, what is it called? I forgot. Yak or whatever that central portion which carries water, is that the branch? Again, without all that, there is nothing called branch. And if you take any of the component of the branch, let's say it's a timber, then again it is not separate from its cause, which is probably atoms and molecules. So then are the atoms or molecules the material which make up the branch? Is what is branch? Now that also resolves into something else, maybe energy, which is the cause of molecules and atoms. Now when I say tree, what is a tree? It keeps going and going. Any one thing you take this cloth. Is fabric the cloth? The cloth is nothing but the fabric. Fabric is nothing but the yarn. Cotton is nothing but the atoms which make it up. Again, atoms, they all go and resolve into something else and something else and something else. That is Maya. Everything is dependent on something else. There is only one thing which doesn't depend on anything else, which is Chaitanyam, your Swarupa, on which everything else is dependent on. In fact, there is no everything else, because they all resolve once you analyze into this one thing. Therefore, when we say whole, the whole is nothing but what remains when in your mind everything else get resolved. Every karya gets resolved into its karana. That karana itself being a karya resolves into another karana. What makes up, and then finally everything resolves into one thing, which is what is called Brahman. And now that Brahman to me is seen as this Jagat, this world. Even though you are telling me anything that is in front of me resolves into Brahman, but I do see something there. I do see a world. I do see my body being here. I do have an experience. And how is that? It is not something that in my mind I have created. Everybody sees the same world. When I say India won a gold in Olympics yesterday, everybody tells the same thing. So it is not that I am projecting a world from my mind. So there is a Srishti that is evident to me, which can't be an illusion. That is what is called Ishvara Srishti, the creation which is a projection. That is why we have to recognize it as Ishvara Srishti. And we said yesterday, Ishvara doesn't need material from outside, because it is all jnanam only. There is no other material. There is no inert. Every inert, once you analyze it, resolves into what lights it up. When I say there is a stone, suppose you say there is a rock. The rock is inert, is what you will say, correct? How can you say everything is awareness, consciousness? The rock is inert. It doesn't have any consciousness. It doesn't move. It doesn't talk. It doesn't grow. So it is not consciousness. Well, look at it like this. The rock exists because of what? Because the rock lights up to a consciousness or by a consciousness. The rock is evident. The evidence of rock is because a consciousness lights up the rockness there, correct? Otherwise, where is rock? Unless rock bhati is illuminated by an awareness, the existence of rock is not there. In Panchadasi, Vidyaranya tells, suppose there is one painting, there is a cloth. In that cloth is Chitrapata. There is a cloth on which there is a painting. And in that painting, there are mountains, there are rivers, trees, and there are human beings. And those human beings are wearing dresses, some cloths. There are clothes within this cloth which is holding up this painting. The painting is on a cloth, and within that painting there are clothes, because the people who are painted there are wearing clothes. This is the situation. Now the question he asks, is there any difference between the cloth being worn by the people within the painting and the underlying cloth? No, they both are same. That is easy to understand. But what about the mountain, the rock? Is there any difference between the rock which is in the painting and the cloth which is holding the painting? No. But in your mind, you see only the cloth worn by the people in the painting to be the cloth. But mountains appear as mountain. Though the mountains are also nothing but what is obtaining on the cloth. So the mountain exists on the cloth, and the cloths also exist on the cloth. So the underlying cloth is the one which holds up both the mountains and the cloth which is visible in the Chitrapata. Therefore, everything is cloth only. This is a Drishtanta he gives. So in your awareness, Chaitanya, you see a world which has both inert things and awareness, conscious things. But all of them are lighted up by what? By awareness alone. By Chaitanya. And that Chaitanya appearing as this Jagat, lighting up this Jagat, is due to Maya Karya of Ishvara. So the Ishvara is there in everything all the way. There is nothing where there is no Ishvara. Like your sun, okay? The sun, Surya, there is everything it lights up. Everything is seen by the sun in the earth. There is only one thing it doesn't see. That is the darkness. The sun never sees the darkness. Whenever it goes, the darkness goes away before the sun comes there. Like that, there is no Jada. Every Jada Vastu, the Jadatvam, you can say this rock is Jada because the rock has already been illuminated by the awareness. Then only rock is visible or recognized. So there is Ishvara in everything. There is nothing where there is no Ishvara. The Chetanatvam is implicit. The consciousness obtains in everything. And the fact that it obtains as something else to you means there is Ishvara Srishti. Because you are seeing it as a mountain, you are seeing it as a tree, not only as a Chaitanyam, because there is a Ishvara Srishti. Even though the substantive is nothing but Chaitanya, but there is a Jagat that you are seeing. That is because there is Ishvara Srishti. And that Ishvara is not separate from you, so it is available all the time. So how will Bhagavan hear my prayer? Hey, your substratum is Bhagavan. The moment in your mind you have a prayer, it is already heard. You don't have to wait to see, did the Bhagavan really hear my prayer? Do you think he would have heard? I just did a prayer in front of this picture. Has Bhagavan heard it or not? How do I verify? You don't have to verify. The fact, the moment that prayer arises in your mind, it is already heard. Because there is nothing separate from Bhagavan. And if you look at the Jagat like we saw yesterday, that Bhagavan is manifest as the Niyati. Because everything is a conscious order here. What works in a rat works in a human being because there is an order. There is a botanical, biological, physiological, like we saw yesterday, there are orders, niyatis. There is a cause-effect relationship. Rain happens because the clouds have to come. Clouds are formed because water evaporates. Water has to evaporate, so there is sun. It is all a niyati set up by a conscious order. And the order is non-separate from Ishvara. In fact, Ishvara is in the form of niyati. Bishasmadvatah pavate. Bishodeti suryaha. Bishasmadagnischendrascha. Veda says this. The niyati is non-separate from Ishvara. That is why ye yatha mam prapadyante tans tataiva bhajamyaham. Mama martmanu vartante manushyav partha sarvashaha. However you pray, whatever you seek, I give that. You get that. Because in the form of niyati, I give you all the phala for the karma. Ishvara is the karma phala data, the one who gives fruits of action. Because again, there has to be a niyati. If it is all because of my action, why do I need a God? You can ask that question. But who determines what fruits have to come for what karma? There are two types of phala, fruits of action. One is called the drishta phala. The another one is the adrishta phala. The fruit which is seen as a consequence of an action, and the fruits which are not evident to you but are really consequences of action. So suppose I beat a dog with a stone. It comes to bite me back. That is drishta phala. But the fact that I have hurt somebody gives me an adrishta phala, which is papam, and that probably comes to me later in the life or in the next life by some way. Maybe I get beaten by somebody. So both kind of karma phala is there, but who determines what is the phala that you will get? When you will get, there should be some conscious niyati, and that niyati in the form of Ishvara is the karma phala. Even drishta phalam, I have no, that's why Bhagavan says, no, karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You have no control on the fruits of your own action. You can only think, I will do the best. But there is no guarantee that the fruit of action will be commensurate to your expectation or to the action. You can get more, you can get equal, or you can get less, or you can get nothing. That's not in your hand. It is Ishvara. So ye yatha mam prapadyante tans tataiva bhajamyaham. Through niyati, I support your actions and the fruits. So you take it. I am neutral. That's what Ishvara says. But understand one thing. Mama vartmanu varthante manushyav partha sarvashaha. Any which way you perform, whatever you do, whether you recognize it or not, you are only trying to come towards me all the time. Why? What is this coming towards me means? So you can have the question, good question. I don't even believe in Bhagavan. I don't pray. I don't even care. Udasina. But still you are saying I am following Bhagavan. How can you say that? I am not even consciously doing it. That's a good question. But then to answer that, you need to understand again what is Bhagavan. Bhagavan is everything we just said. And everyone tries to get to that being everything. Why? Because limitation is not acceptable to all of us. We are uncomfortable being limited. That is why we are all acting. We are acting as in action. We are doing actions. Because I want to get, I feel limited. I have only this much money. I need more money. Because then I think I'll be more comfortable. I am limited by happiness. I'm only so much happy. I need more happiness. So I'm trying to do whatever I can gain that happiness. I have a feeling that I know only so much, limited by knowledge. I need to learn more so that I can understand things better. I again go for more knowledge. So any which way I look at me, happiness wise, material wise, knowledge wise, I see myself limited. As a body, I am limited. I can be in only one place at a time. So everything about me, I feel I am limited and I want to break out of this limitation. I am able to live only so many years. After so many years, I am becoming old. I am becoming unhealthy. That is limiting me in terms of my ability to enjoy the world. I want to break out of that limitation. So every person is trying to break out of the limitation, because the fact of being limited is unacceptable to all of us. It is unacceptable because it is not our true nature. If it was your true nature, you would have been comfortable with it. Like your deep sleep, you are comfortable. But limitation, you are not comfortable. That shows it is not your true nature. If it was your nature, why would you want to break away from it? It would have been the source of comfort. That means becoming limitless is the pursuit of everybody, whether one recognizes it or not. And we said limitless is what is Bhagavan Ishvara. Means what? Everybody wants to become Bhagavan. That's all. Mama vartmanu vartante manushyaha. Everybody is after me. Whether they want to acknowledge it or call themselves as atheists doesn't matter. Kangshantah karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha kshipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. Okay. The question now is, if becoming limitless, infinite, all-encompassing, free of limitation is what everybody wants implicitly, then why are they not directly seeking it? Why are people, even people who hear about all this, today you hear about this Vedanta, oh, I can become limitless. Doesn't mean from tomorrow onwards you are going to become a mumukshu, jignasu, the seeker. Oh, I am going to become limitless. Only very few will do that. Today it sounds all nice, but once the session gets over, you are back to the chores of the day until you get to the next session. Why is that? That's what Arjuna would ask. Thinking like that, Bhagavan directly answers. People want quick results. Kshipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja siddhi. Benefits accruing out of these small pleasure-seeking actions are immediate, quick. I go to a restaurant, I get the happiness immediately. All I need to spend is few hundred rupees. It's quick. That's what happens in those pleasures. Though it is short-lived, it leads you into samsara. All that is okay, but I get it immediately. Whereas this Vedanta and Jivan Mukti and all you are saying will take a lifetime or at least a few years. Possibly. Nobody says you can't get it immediately. If there is preparedness, it can happen even in an hour. There is a story, One king gets lost in the forest. He is just going for hunting. He is a good king, has adhikaritvam. He goes along with his paraphernalia into the forest for hunting. And then he chases some tiger and gets lost. And in that forest, there is one hut where there is Vedantic teaching going on. Tattvamasi. Some Rishi or some Muni is teaching to the students. This king is lost, but the class is going on. He wants to get directions from those people, but he doesn't want to disturb. So he just stands little away behind some trees. And when he is waiting, he just listens to this Upadesha going on. As he keeps listening, it unfolds. And then he gains that jnana. Because he has preparedness. He is so happy he gained the knowledge, and then he goes and tells this Guru, prostrates, I gained this jnanam, and then he goes away. All the students who are sitting there, they scratch their head. We have been sitting here for so long. Tomorrow also we have to come and listen to this. And this king comes and takes it away within no time. Because it is all about preparedness. But those are exceptions. We need time. We are not like those kings. So we will all think these Vedanta and all this jnanam will take time. But these happinesses are quick. That is why 99% people are after these. Even if they come to know of this, they don't really pursue. But at some point, they have to come. That previous sloka itself, Bhagavan has said, Amavartma anuvartante, at some point or other they will come. They can't go anywhere else. There is nowhere else to go. When everything is Bhagavan, where would you go? So kshipram himanushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja siddhihi kshipram bhavati. Quickly you get small pleasures. So people are not in a mood for long-term haul. But then they keep getting entwined, soiled into the samsara. Samsara means keep becoming. I want this, I want that, I'm happy, unhappy, happy, unhappy. Just get like a soccer ball going from one goal post to the other, kicked around all the time by these pleasure seeking. People are bound by all this. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. Now we said entire Srishti is Ishvara. Does that mean all the ownership of the Srishti should be with Ishvara? That is the question. We have to answer that. No, we asked that question, but we didn't answer that. What? Why did God create, Ishvara create so many disparities? If he is projecting the world, why can't he project everything as happiness? Everybody can just be happy. Every jiva is enjoying. All equals. No difference. What is all this variance in life? different types of people at different levels. Somebody is dukhi, someone is happy, someone gains moksha, somebody doesn't gain moksha, someone is struggling for next meal, someone doesn't know what to do with money. Some countries are rich. Here Ishvara says, I created all this variations, but I am not the creator. What is this? Is this a statement? I created, but I am not the creator. Suppose there is fire. The fire burns, and you go and touch the fire with your finger. It has burnt your finger. Now suppose fire has mind and talking capacity. You go and ask, hey fire, did you burn me? Yes, because only as a fire is the only thing which can burn. That means I only have burnt you. Sure, are you the one who burned me? No, I didn't voluntarily come and burn you. You put your finger. So, did the fire burn? Yes. But was it really the fire which went and burned this guy? No, he put his finger. So the answer is both ways, depending on how you look at it. Because Ishvara is the Jagat and the Niyati. As a Niyati, as something which supports everything, Chaturvarnam and everything, every structure, every difference is created by Ishvara only, projected. But at the same time, there is karma phala. There is a law of karma. Why somebody is born some way is because of one's own action in the past. So you are responsible, but then Ishvara is responsible too. Because as somebody who has provided, who gave you this brain, mind, thinking capacity, it's Ishvara. Who created a setup for you to perform action, Ishvara. But then you had a free will that was also given by Ishvara. You misused your free will. You got some karma phala, papa, and because of which you are born as a poor person. Now is Ishvara responsible? No. So from a standpoint of everything being Ishvara, Ishvara is responsible. But from the standpoint of your ability to use your free will, you are responsible for what you are experiencing. Therefore, Bhagavan says, Tasya kartaram apimam vidya akartaram. Though I am an actor, but I am not an actor. Though I am responsible, but I am not responsible. So you have to understand it that way. A setup is provided and you are a player within it. Until you recognize that you are Ishvara, you are part of the samsara. The moment you understand your Swarupa, then you become one with Ishvara, the Isa. So here Bhagavan talks about Chaturvarna. We will spend 2-3 minutes on it because specifically on Chaturvarna we can spend. But as a general thing, it is the setup. Because Chaturvarnyam was only within context of India. But then the difference of type of people, characteristic of people, guna of people is there everywhere. There are always a set of people who are intellect based, who want to do right things, who are thinking, and dharmic. Good thoughts, but deep thinkers. They become doctors and scientists, whatever. And there are doctors who have good thoughts, bad also, dharmika, adharmika. But let's first take the dharmika lawyers who are attitude is towards doing right thing, but more focused on thinking. That is one category. Then you have actors who want to act, perform, do things, active guys, but along with thinking. Heavy actors with the good, backed up by good thinking. And then there are people who are big actors, but not having thought or good thought, who somehow want to get things done for themselves. And finally, people who are only action based, who don't want to think, who just want to have that day done. Right or wrong doesn't matter. Just their own grabbing matters. Those are people who are just laborers, who just don't spend their mind on thinking and learning and all that, just act. Working class. So that classification is natural. And this is not like birth based or anything, it is categories of people. Guna karma vibhagashaha. People get into action which is based on their likes and their disposition. That is Chaturvarnyam in get class. I mean, are classified as in not somebody classifies, or made up like that. Composition is like that. So then in India, so this is called Guna Vibhaga. We talk about three gunas: Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Sattva is all dharmic, meditative, divine disposition, and all that is Sattvika. Then Rajasa, which is activity based, heavily into action, active. And Tamas is kind of inactive, dull. These three gunas combine into certain dispositions of people. If Sattva is heavy, and to some extent Rajasam is there as a secondary capability, then those people are purely dharmic, more intellect based. They are not very active, as in like they are not running around, but they are thinkers. Then other set of people who are very active, Rajas is main, but supported by Sattva, means they are good intending but active people, administrators, many times politician, kings. Then the third one is Rajas is Pradhana, but secondary guna is Tamas. Little dullness, but then they want to do things, not thinking a lot. So they are mostly traders, who, that is how the classification was. And then finally Tamah Pradhana, people who just don't want to spend time thinking, just want to just keep doing action. That is there. Rajas is secondary. Now there is also kind of a progression. The more you are Sattva Pradhana, the more you are suited for the pursuit, Vedantic pursuit. So people, there is an intent to move everybody towards Sattva Pradhanatvam. Therefore, in those days, a system was also made where, depending on your disposition, you do a certain action so that you can move towards Sattva Pradhanatvam. That is where it became birth-based in those days, which all has gone now. So this Chaturvarna also, so the whole approach, intent is to take everybody towards this Jnanam and Moksha. If that is the objective, then all this Varna Dharma and all that also become relevant and acceptable, because people, there is no gradation in terms of who is great, who is, it's not like that. It is, my disposition currently is Raja Pradhana. How do I become a Sattva Pradhana? For that, what should I do? Is what I seek help from Shastra. then it says you do this, it becomes Sattva Pradhana for you. So that is Chaturvarnyam. Now let us come to Ishvara. Now the intent is not Chaturvarnyam here. Bhagavan just in passingly just says that because he is basically saying in this Jagat, everything in a sense is due to me. Unless I had created this gunas, you couldn't have fallen into one of these categories, isn't it? That means I am the creator. But then you have to understand I am not the creator. But why is Bhagavan saying this? Why is he disowning this? Is he afraid that people will say, hey, you only created this Chaturvarna, because of which I am struggling? So, fearing people will say that, is this why he is saying I am not a Karta? Why should Bhagavan say this? Because he is getting us into another very important section of understanding what is karma, what is an action. What is an action? Why should I again understand? Why should, as a human being, I understand what action means? You know why you have to understand? Because all the time you are acting as in performing action. All the time, from the time you get up till you go to bed, either physically or mentally or by talking, you are fully into action. And your happiness and sorrow is also because of action, because action leads to guilt and hurt many times. And action is what makes you pursue more action, because when you act, let's take one example. Suppose I aspire to earn 10 lakhs and buy a car, because I want to enjoy a beautiful Honda City. So now I am an enjoyer, right? I am invoking an enjoyer in me who wants to enjoy this car. This enjoyer invokes the doer in me. The doer goes out and does something to earn money. That doership is the one which goes and does action, earns money, and buys the car, so that the enjoyer in me enjoys the car. Now the enjoyer recognizes that this doer is responsible for me to enjoy this, correct? In a sense. So my actions led me to enjoy this. Now suppose in this action, I did something wrong. I manipulated, or I cut corners, I stole something like that. I did a bad thing. Now I also have a guilt, because I am enjoying something which accrued to me by doing a wrong action. So there is guilt. Or suppose I was to earn 10 lakhs, but I got only 9 lakhs because somebody took away 10% commission. And I am hurt because that fellow forced that 1 lakh away from me. And for the remaining 1 lakh, I had to sell something from my home and then only buy this car. I am hurt. So this doership, which came from the enjoyership has created a guilt and hurt or hurt, whatever. And also, because I have now liked this Honda City, my mind goes to a BMW because I think that will give me more pleasure. So it has put me into a loop. So a human mind struggles due to guilt, due to hurt, due to more pleasure seekingness because of what? Because of action. And the action is because of my enjoyership status. So then what is the way out of it? I don't want to be hurt. I don't want the guilt. I also don't want to keep going behind pleasures, but I want to be happy all the time. What is the way out? Should I stop doing all this action? Or what else I should do? Unless you address this, you are not going to be out of this. You can't become liberated or free unless you understand what is this action. And Bhagavan gets into this topic by talking about I created this world, but then I am not the creator. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spruha itimam yobhijanati karma birna sabadhyate. You are now bound by the actions, but you will not be bound by actions. You know when you understand how I perform these actions, untouched by these actions, untouched by the benefits of these actions. If you understand me, then you won't be bound, is what Bhagavan says. Now you will naturally have a question. Just because something doesn't impact Bhagavan, his action doesn't touch him, how can he say that by understanding that it won't touch me also? Because, like we saw yesterday, you are not separate in Tattva. You are no different than Bhagavan. In fact, Bhagavan is you. You are Bhagavan is a different thing, but Bhagavan is you. Your ahankara and all that is superimposed. So if you understand how Bhagavan is untouched by karma, you also won't be touched. That's why Bhagavan in this chapter says, I am untouched by the karma, the action, as well as the benefits of action, the fruits of action. Why is it that how is it that I am untouched? If you recognize it, then you won't be untouched also, because by recognizing who Ishvara is, you will recognize who you are. Then only this is possible, isn't it? What is action? Suppose I am building a toy structure. You know this Legos. I am putting all the Legos together and building one fort or a chapel or something like that. Now what is action? Is picking Legos an action or assembling it? So this building means what? There are many parts to this action. And when I say putting some Legos together, it spans a time. Again, it takes 3 seconds. In these 3 seconds, you bring your hands together, you tie them together. So many things happen. So what is the action? The truth of action is always the moment. The truth of an experience is the present. All else is superimposed. What gone by is superimposed on the present. What is going to come is also superimposed on present. A stretch of time is a superimposition on the now. The present is the truth. So when we say an action, the action resolves into the present, the now. That is also karma. Karma also resolves to now only. So Ishvara karma also is now. My karma also. When the past happened, it happened as now. When present is happening, it happens as now. When future will happen, it will happen as now. So everything is now. This moment, this presence. And what is this presence? That is also Chaitanyam. So namam karmani limpanti name karma bale spruha. So you understand this karma doesn't touch me because karma also is mithya. Presence is satyam. For whether it is Ishvara or for you. Once you understand that, then what is going to bind you? Even when an action is taking place, your Swarupa is untouched by it because it is the only presence. It lends presence, the light to everything that is going on. But by itself, it is untouched. Once this knowledge takes place, then the karma doesn't touch that person. Evam nyatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshubhihi kuru karmaiva tasmat tvam purvaif purvadaram kritam. So look at it like that and continue doing action. So you do your action, not for the enjoyer, not for the sake of gaining some fruit alone, but because you are called upon to do a certain action. In second chapter and third chapter, Bhagavan talks significantly about this. In third one, he says, my chakram is going on. This whole creation is me. You are called upon to do a certain action. You have certain roles which have come to you as a father, as a son, as a mother, as an employer, as an employee. There are roles. Situation calls an action from you, a dharmic action. You just do it as part of this yajnam, my yajnam which is going on. Because why should I do action? You can ask. Because you cannot stop doing an action. Even if you are sitting idle, suppose you can say, I won't do any action. Means what? You are consciously pulling yourself out of action. Suppose you have to go and buy some vegetables now. You are saying, no, I am not a karta, I am a karta. I will pull myself back. I won't go and buy vegetables now. Then you are consciously, as an actor, as a person doing action, what is the action you are doing? Pulling yourself back. And you are saying, I have held myself back. That is an action. Now you sit. And then you keep thinking, I should have gone or should I not have gone for the vegetable? I should have, somebody else will go and get vegetable in my place. All these thoughts are going on. That is also action because you are involved in a mental action. And then you tell somebody, hey, I didn't go because I am an akarta. You go and get it. Now from your mouth you are saying that is also a karyam, vachikam. From your mouth you are doing an action. So action doesn't mean only physical action. Can be mental action. Can be through your mouth. Can you become still? Yeah, maybe by meditation and Patanjali You can do all this pranayama, pratyaha, dharana, dhyana, samadhi for some time. You can stop your thoughts, but again you have to come back. But why should you stop your thoughts? Is thoughts the problem? Thoughts are not problem. Your guilt, hurt, your obsession for small pressures which keeps you going behind them again and again is what is the cause for the problem. And you cannot stop your mind forever. So you have to make your mind free. And that can happen only when you understand that your Swarupa is free. So Bhagavan says people are always confused on what is this action. Kim karma, kim akarmeti kavayopyatra mohitaha tatte karma pravakshyami yajnatva mokshase ashubhat. Ashubha means samsara. From this samsara, from this cycle of becoming something, you will get liberated. By what? Understanding what is karma. Because even very intelligent people who are panditas, who may be scientists, who may be doctors, even for them there is no understanding many a times on what is action and what is inaction. Being quiet means what? Being activity-less means what? Not physically sitting idle or stopping your thoughts, but by understanding that in essence you are a karta. That is what he's going to talk about. So he says, Kim karma kima karmeti kavayopyatra mohitaha tatte karma pravakshyami yajnatva mokshase. By understanding what is action. Because humans all the time are acting mentally, physically, or by mouth. You are always into some action other than the time you are in deep sleep. And that is what breaks, makes you happy, unhappy. Your struggle is all based on that. Why did I do this? Kimaham sadhuna karavam, kimaham papam karavam iti. Why did I do this? Why did I not do this? Why did I hurt my father, my mother? Why did I hurt, my brother, my husband, my wife? Why am I being inactive? What should I do next? How should I make amends? All this is what creates complications in humans. And people struggle, are in pain, because you own up all your actions. And that leads to your guilt and hurt. Because all those actions were for you as an enjoyer. So you get into a guilt, hurt loop because you see that you did something wrong for your own enjoyership, and that has rubbed off others. And you are not able to stand yourself being on the wrong side, because your own self-image, self-acceptance goes down. You are not acceptable to yourself because you have transgressed what is right and wrong. And that is a big human predicament. That is what Arjuna was also struggling about. That is because the doership is not understood. You can come out of this loop only when you understand yourself to be above being a doer. Doer may be you, but you are not just the doer. Because you are Ishvara. All the other things are incidental. You are playing multiple roles in a drama on the stage. Every one of those roles are you, but you are not any one of those roles. You are beyond all that. In one scene, you are like a beggar. In another scene, which is about, some old incident in the same movie, flashback. At that time, you are a rich guy. You are playing, multiple 9 roles like Navaratri and all these movies. Each role itself is you, but you are beyond all those roles. You are not impacted by any of those roles because you recognize yourself to be above those roles. Then all those karma is done as what? As part of the yajna of Ishvara. So you continue to act. That's why he says, Evam nyatva kritam karma purvairapi mukshubhihi guru karma iva tasmatum. You also do like other jnanis used to act. Janaka and all these jnanis used to act, perform action, but untouched by guilt and hurt. They didn't bother about the results. Whatever comes is Ishvara Prasada. And that as a bhok, they are not bhoktas. They are not pursuing things as bhokta, but only because an Ishvara yajna is taking place. Then you will come out of all this. So Bhagavan says, Karmano khyapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha karmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. You need to understand what is karma, what is action, what is inaction, what is wrong action, because these are very deep subjects. It is very difficult unless you understand what your Swarupa is. Then he says, Karmanya karmayah pasyed akarmani cha karmayaha sa buddhiman manusyeshu sayuktaha krishna karma kriti. Only when you understand, even in thick of action, there is actionlessness, because Atma is not part of any action. An action involves, if people who understand Sanskritam, called karakas. There are different things in an action. Suppose I cook. I as a doer. Cooking is an action. Food is a subject of action, object of action. Then you have, where do I cook? In the kitchen. For what I cook? For the guests who are going to eat it. From where I cook? Like that, there are many things associated with an action. There are parts to an action which is called karaka. No, Brahman being everything. So he is going to say, no, Brahmarpanam Brahmavi, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva Dhyanagantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. Every part of an action is that Brahman only, me only, Ishvara. So what is this action? And what is inaction? If one understands, then that person is a jnani who has achieved everything. This is what he says, Karmanya karmaya pasyed akarmani cha karmayaha sa buddhiman manusyeshu sayuktaha krishna karma kriti. He has achieved everything, because when you understand what is action and inaction, that means you are understanding what is Atma, what is Ishvara, what is Brahma. All the, without understanding all of this, an action cannot be understood. The essence of an action, what is an action, can be understood only when you understand who you are. You have to, if you are beyond all this action, the action is in the, so there are only two things. One is I, the other is non-I. Dvauhi padarthau. Atma anatmanav. So this action, is it in I or non-I? Is the actor I or non-I? See, this wall is non-I. This cloth is non-I. This body, is it I or non-I? Whatever I know as this is non-I. So this body also is known as this body. Then it is non-I. The doership is I or non-I. Whatever comes and goes cannot be I. In my deep sleep, do I have doership? No. Do I have this physical body in my awareness? No. Now, what exists there, as well as in the waken, as well as in the dream, which is not incidental, which doesn't come and go, which always is there, is I. So the doership comes and goes, so it is non-I. So the enjoyership comes and goes, it is non-I. No, once I recognize all that, then I am free from that. Isn't it? Krishna karma krite. Then he says, Yasya sarve samarambhaha kama sankalpa varjitaha jnanagni dagdha karmanam tamahuh panditam buddhaha. So when somebody does action, starts any action without keeping just the enjoyership in focus, the action is started only because I am called upon to do something. I have a situation. Suppose right now I am there, somebody, my wife calls me and says, please go and get some milk. Now I am called upon to do an action. The situation makes me to do an action. As a husband I am called upon to do an action. As a son, I am called upon to do an action. As an employee, I am called upon to do an action. I do that action. It is devoid of kama or sankalpa. I need to enjoy. It's not the reason why I started the action. But because I am called upon. When people start doing action like that, because of what? The understanding, the jnanam, that I am neither the enjoyer, not the doer. That jnanam has burnt the karma. Then I don't have any papa or punya from it, because it is not out of my volition or free will or my urge to enjoy that I am doing that action. Therefore, jnanagni dagdha karma. This karma is burnt by this knowledge. That person is acting, but then he is not an actor. He is not a doer. He is not an enjoyer. He is beyond all this. He is free from all this. So he doesn't have any guilt or hurt or longing to do the same thing again and again. That person is free. He is just resting on himself beyond all these actions. He is jnanagni dagdha karma. His actions and activities, everything is burnt by the knowledge. Knowledge burns all those. The ignorance is burnt away, that I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. So they are called as jnanagni dagdha karma. By who? By panditas, people who recognize, who understand what is action, what is life, what is the truth. Those people, they are called pandita. They call these people who act because situation asks them to act. Such people are called jnanagni dagdha karma, is what Ishvara himself says. So, why? Because tektva karma bala sangam nitya drupto nirashrayaha karmanya bhipravritto binaiva kinchit karoti saha nitya druptaha. They are always full. Because Atma is full. When I recognize my Swarupa is everything, I am the infinite, I am all, then I am always full. I don't need something to make me full, a clutches to hold on to. Some masal dosa or gulab jamun or rasagulla to give me happiness. Because I am Nitya Tripta, I am always full. I don't need something added to make me full. When I have that Nitya Tripti, then I have Nirashraya. I don't have to lean on anything. I stand on my own Swarupa. I don't need an Ashraya. I am not emotionally seeking something. Oh, only when I marry this girl, I'll be happy. Or this boy, I'll be happy. Only when my son gets a job, I'll be happy. Only when I have this car, I'll be happy. There is no such ashraya for me to be happy, because I see myself always as full. Nitya triptaha, nirashrayaha. Such a person, karmani abhipravrittopi, naiva kinchit karoti saha. Even when that person is acting, doing something, world is seeing that person doing. But in essence, that person is actually not doing anything, because there is no doership. He doesn't own the doership. But if you own the doership, then all that is tied to the doership, which is guilt, hurt, everything accrues to you. You want, because you see the doer as the reason for enjoyer. Now this enjoyer is always pushing you to do something so that the enjoyer can enjoy. Now you are after this and that and whatnot, so that you can see yourself as the enjoying one, pleasure seeking, go into the samsara. All the time you are struggling, because one time you get pleasure, one time you don't get, then you get guilt, then you get hurt. In the process, you make others unhappy, you shout at people because you are obstructed. You thought you will get a happiness, but somebody said something, then you are unhappy, then you shout at them, at your spouse, at your children, because you are all the time trying to change your environment so that you can be comfortable. So that is life, samsara. You can come out of it only when you come out of this doership and enjoyership conundrum, right? That is the word. How do you come out? By seeing what is your nature, Swarupa. So he says, Tiktva karma pala sangam. Understand this karma pala is not what is going to give you anything. If it is giving you some pleasure, that pleasure is also your Swarupa pleasure only. Because at that time, you are suspending the wanting me. When, let's say, you go to Ooty or Kodaikanal or Darjeeling, climb up a mountain, take 3 hours, climb up and all that, and then go to a top of a hill, and then you stand there. What an expanse, horizon. It's so beautiful. Then that pleasure. Then what? Where is that pleasure coming from? Because at that time you have suspended everything, all your worries about your children, your mother-in-law and your daughter-in-law, son-in-law, everything, your own office pressures, everything you suspend. And then you look at it and then you enjoy. What is the source of that happiness? You didn't eat gulab jamun, not masala dosa. Where is it coming from? It has to be from you only, because there is nothing else. It's only nature, because you have suspended everything, you are wanting me, and your Swarupa Ananda is coming out. So the pleasure that you are actually experiencing in any Vishaya Sukha is your own Swarupa, just that you don't recognize it. So this karma pala asakti is tektam, is given up, because you recognize that the karma pala sukham also is your Swarupa only. Sarvada sampludotaka. In second chapter. Yavanartha udapane sarvada sampludodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanata. When everywhere there is water, people won't go after wells and ponds and tap water, because there is flood everywhere. Like that, if everything is your Swarupa, you are already full nityadriptaha, nirashrayaha. Then why should I look for a small benefit of eating? You eat masala dosa, I have nothing against it. But we are only talking about understanding, not actually giving up anything. After listening to this also, you continue with your gulab jamun and masala. I'm not saying stop eating it. That is not what is the intent. We are just looking at it. That's all. It's only your understanding. The entire Vedanta is changing in understanding. It's like flipping around how you look at the world. It's a cognitive change. That is why it is jnana. Just sitting at a place you gain. That is moksha. Because you see yourself as mukta already. You have nothing to do. You don't have to go anywhere, buy anything, do anything, not yaga yajna, go to heaven, keep running behind some god. Nothing. Sit and do vichara. See that you are full. That is Vedanta. The magic of Vedanta is at your own place, wherever you are right now, just listening, seeing this vision, you are free. Tattva karma. So you continue with your action. That's what I'm saying. With all your things. But your vision is different. It is a cognitive change in the way you look at it. That is why it is called Jnanam. Jnanagni sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute. Every action, the hurt and guilt and bhoktritvam is burnt away by this jnana, by this understanding that Shastra is giving you. You have nothing else to do other than seeing this vision that Shastra gives. Nothing more, not even one bit you have to do anything other than getting this vision. Everything else is a frill. Karmani abhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. That person is as though not even doing anything, even though he is into thick of action, because there is no doership. You may see that he is doing, but from his point of view, there is no doing. Nirashiryata chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvan apnoti kilbisham. Once a person gains that kind of a vision, then there is no necessity for that person to keep doing things. For some reason, 1 in 100 may want to do like Janaka, because he wants to stand as an example for others as to how you perform an action, even when you see there is nothing that you get out of it. You have no reason to do action. Just the situation calls you to do some action. You can choose to do so that people see you as an example. But then you can also come out of it, because you have nothing to gain out of it anymore, because you have the vision that you are everything. So rather, you may choose to stay in that knowledge, being away from thick of action. And that kind of a person is rooted in this knowledge, is what Bhagavan says. Nirashihi yatachitta atma tekta sarva parigraha. That person is not going to accumulate things for tomorrow. I need to have a big bungalow, big ashram, big car, so I am going to teach and change the world. All that is not there, because that person is relaxed in his swarupa. So he is a tekta sarva parigraha, nirashihi. He doesn't have an urge to do things. So he is yatachittatma. Then what does that person do? Shariram kevalam karma kuruva. Only to sustain the body. He doesn't want to die also. Let the body survive. Prarabdha has started till whenever this body has to be, let it be. So whatever minimal food is needed for this body to exist, and a place under the tree or some roof, so that the body can continue. That is all the person does action about, to just sustain this. And all the other time, the person is just engrossed in his swarupa or her swarupa. That kind of a person doesn't gain any papa or anything. Even Janaka kind of people who are acting because they are called upon to act, they also don't have any kilbisham. This person also doesn't have any kilbisham. Kilbisham means papa, and the person is free. They are not bound. Next shloka is Edricha Lavasantushtaha Dvandvaditaha Vimatsaraha Samaha Siddhav Asiddhav cha Krutvapi Nibadhyate. He is beyond duels. He is not worried about it being very cold, it being very hot. Today I didn't get a good food. That person is not worried. Whatever comes as food, the person eats. This Sannyasa Lakshana, we'll talk in the evening a little bit. They're running out of time. But so whatever one gets, one eats. not worried about warm and cold, body is aching, I have to walk from one place to the other. Now it is Chaturmasyam. Once Chaturmasya gets over, I need to go somewhere. He's not worried about tomorrow or even today. He is equanimous about what he or she gets for the day, what comes to that person. Samaha siddhav asiddhav. When somebody is like that, then Kritvapina Nibadyate. Even when that person is acting, doing some action, writing some bhashyam, but they are not bound. That person only is free. So if you want to be free, you have to get there. Now, one question we will answer and stop today's session. You said the whole Bhagavad Gita is about taking decisions, making choices. And then here you are talking about some sannyasa, free of action, Ishvara, and all that. So how am I to make the link? The link is, what did we say? The decision or choice you make about action in a holistic fashion. The moment we say holistic, it's because you are acting for what? What is the purpose for which you are making a choice on action? The purpose is this action should give me a benefit that is good for me. Correct? Now, what is good for you in a short term could be the immediate fruit of what you are aspiring for. But from a long-term perspective, an ultimate perspective, this action should lead you to be happy, to be self-satisfied, to be free from getting bound, to be away from pleasure seeking, all the time fulfilled. That is your ultimate want, whether you today understand it or not. So when you make a choice, you make a choice in a way that not only your short-term goal is achieved, but the long-term objective of being totally free from everything is also kept in purview. That is why Gita is holistic. It is not about making you take an action based on a short-term thing. You look at it from a holistic perspective. What is here? What am I in for? Why am I acting? Who am I? What is this world? What is Ishvara? Everything has to be looked at holistically. And that is what Bhagavan is addressing here. So there are, I think we are halfway, but we can rush and finish it in the evening. There are some more shlokas about different kind of yajnas, different spiritual practices. And then Bhagavan sums it up in this chapter, saying finally it is this jnanam which is the most purifying thing, which gets you out of all this papa and karma and all this samsara chakra. That's how he summarizes this chapter. So we will see in the evening. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you so much, Kalyanji. And we have not received any questions, but if there are any, we can take it up in the evening session. And with this, we will conclude another session of Weekend with Wisdom. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.